Picture this. It's February 25th, 1942. America is a nation holding its breath. Just a few months have passed since the devastating attack on Pearl Harbor, and the air is thick with fear and suspicion. Every shadow seems to hide a threat. Every sound in the night could be a warning. On the West Coast, Los Angeles is plunged into a wartime blackout. Heavy curtains cover every window, streetlights are dark, and along the coastline, soldiers scan the dark, empty horizon, waiting for an enemy that might never come. Then just after 2 a.m., the unthinkable happens. A blip appears on the radar screens, a strange, unidentified object moving slowly, deliberately toward the California coast. Is it a squadron of Japanese bombers, a reconnaissance plane, a weather balloon blown off course? No one knows. But in a time of war, you don't wait to find out. Suddenly, the night is shattered by the wail of air raid sirens. The sound rips through the sleeping city, a terrifying scream that echoes from street to street. People jolt awake in a panic, fumbling in the dark to douse any remaining lights, their hearts pounding in their chests. From military posts all over the city, massive searchlights spring to life, their powerful beams cutting through the darkness, crisscrossing the sky in a desperate search for the intruder. And that's when all hell breaks loose. At exactly 3:16 a.m., the anti-aircraft batteries open up. The sky erupts in a blinding cacophony of light and sound. The ground trembles as massive shells are fired into the air, one after another. Tracer rounds, like fiery red fingers, claw at the clouds. We're talking thousands of rounds, a relentless barrage of firepower lighting up the Los Angeles night sky like the 4th of July. Confused and terrified, residents pour out of their homes, staring up at the chaotic spectacle. What they saw that night would be debated for decades. Some swore they saw a single, massive, round object, glowing with a soft metallic sheen, seemingly unfazed by the storm of bullets. Others reported seeing multiple shapes, moving with a silent, eerie grace between the sweeping beams of the searchlights. For over an hour, the military throws everything it has at this mysterious target. The noise is deafening. Shells explode directly over the city, sending shrapnel raining down. Windows shatter, buildings are pockmarked, and the very ground seems to shake with the fury of the assault. Yet astoundingly, nothing falls from the sky. No twisted metal, no burning wreckage, no sign of a downed enemy plane. By 4:15 a.m., an uneasy quiet descends. The guns fall silent. The sirens cease their wail. A smoky haze hangs over the city, and a question hangs in the air. What in the world just happened? When the sun rose that morning, Los Angeles looked like a city that had been through a war. The streets were littered with spent shell casings, buildings and cars were damaged by the falling shrapnel. Tragically, 5 people had lost their lives, not from enemy bombs, but from heart attacks and car accidents caused by the citywide panic. But the one thing missing was any evidence of an enemy. The army scoured the city, the coastline, and the ocean. They found nothing. No plane, no debris, not a single trace of an attacker. The newspapers went wild, splashing the event across their front pages with the dramatic headline, "The Battle of Los Angeles." And with it, they published a photograph that would become legendary, a stunning image of searchlight beams converging on a mysterious oval-shaped object suspended in the night sky. Looking at that photo, the entire country asked the same question: what were they shooting at? The official explanation came swiftly. Later that day, the US Army declared the whole thing a false alarm. The culprit, they said, was a stray weather balloon, its appearance magnified by the war nerves of an anxious populace. According to them, a few jittery soldiers opened fire, and the panic just snowballed from there. But that story didn't sit right with everyone. How could a simple weather balloon trigger such a massive, hour-long military response? Many people who were there, including some military officers, insisted they saw something far more substantial. Radar operators claimed their equipment tracked not just one, but multiple objects moving in controlled patterns. If it was just a balloon, why was it so resilient? How did it withstand over 1,400 rounds of anti-aircraft fire without being obliterated? And why did it seem to just hover silently, as if observing the chaos below? As the years went by, a far more extraordinary theory began to take shape. The story of the Battle of Los Angeles found new life in the growing fascination with unidentified flying objects. UFO researchers looked back at the incident and saw something incredible, a classic UFO encounter. Eyewitness accounts from that night described a massive disc-shaped craft, glowing with a faint white or silver light. They said it made no sound, showed no aggression, and seemed completely immune to the thousands of shells exploding around it. One witness famously recalled, "It just hovered there as if watching us." Some even reported seeing smaller lights darting around the main object, as if it were a mothership accompanied by a fleet of smaller craft. According to these accounts, once the firing finally stopped, the object simply drifted away, out over the ocean, and vanished. To this day, that iconic photo from the Los Angeles Times remains one of the most analyzed and debated pieces of UFO evidence in history. Is it proof of an otherworldly visitor, caught in the act, or just a photographic anomaly, a trick of light and shadow? Of course, there's another more grounded theory, a secret cover-up. Some speculate that the object wasn't from another world, but from our own. Perhaps it was a top-secret experimental aircraft being tested by the US military. A successful test flight could easily be mistaken for an enemy attack, and the government would have every reason to cover it up with a story about weather balloons and war nerves. Another possibility is that it was, in fact, an enemy device, not a bomber, but something more subtle. Japan was known to use Fugo balloon bombs designed to drift across the Pacific and cause panic and fires in the American West. Maybe one of these balloons, or a more advanced spy drone, drifted over LA, and the government hushed it up to prevent public hysteria and avoid revealing weaknesses in their coastal defenses. But this theory has holes too. If it was an enemy device, why was no wreckage ever recovered? And why would the military expend so much ammunition, over 1,400 shells, on a single slow-moving target and completely miss? It suggests they were either incredibly incompetent or they were firing at something that defied conventional physics. The mystery only deepens. The accounts from people who lived through it are what make this story so compelling. Decades later, survivors vividly recalled the events of that night. One woman described seeing a colossal shape pass silently over her house, so large that it blotted out the stars. Another man was adamant he saw a flying disc that seemed to absorb the explosions without a scratch. A few even claimed they saw the object blink out of existence, vanishing in an instant. But more than anything, they remembered the feeling, the bone-rattling sound of the guns, the scream of the sirens, and the chilling sensation that something truly unknown was watching them from above. After the war, the incident faded from public memory for a while. But with the rise of the UFO phenomenon in the 1950s, the Battle of Los Angeles was rediscovered. It was linked to other famous sightings like Roswell and was hailed by many as one of the first and most significant mass UFO encounters in modern history. Despite the renewed interest and endless speculation, the US government has never wavered from its original story. Officially, it was a case of mistaken identity, fueled by anxiety. But the questions linger. The radar blips were real. The eyewitnesses, many of them trained military personnel, were consistent, and the photographic evidence, while debated, clearly shows something in the sky. Today, more than 80 years later, the Battle of Los Angeles remains one of America's most fascinating unsolved mysteries. No physical evidence was ever found, no enemy was ever confirmed, and no official report has ever fully silenced the doubts. Was it a collective hallucination born of fear, a secret military experiment gone public? Or was it, as many believe, the night Los Angeles went to war with a visitor from another world? Every year the story is retold, a modern legend born from a single night of chaos and confusion. All we know for sure is that on February 25, 1942, the sky over a terrified city lit up with gunfire, aimed at an enemy that was either imaginary, secret, or truly alien. The battle ended, but the mystery lives on, leaving us with that one haunting question. What really happened over Los Angeles? Thanks for watching, everyone. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. See you next time.